Welcome to the final class of this course. Here we're going to be talking about imagery and how important imagery is. Having the right image for your artwork or to use in your artwork is key because it helps tell your story or amplify the emotional feeling of your story. If you use the right image, you tell the story the right way. If you use the wrong image, you end up confusing your audience and they end up not getting what you want to pass across to them. So you need to pay key attention to this because it is important, very, very important. For me personally, I use www.unsplash.com to get my images. This is a free platform where you can get high definition images for free, license free, to do whatever you want to do with them. Now, the key thing here is understanding the right image to use. So let's say I'm looking to do an artwork that has to do with, let's say health, or let's say someone that is sick and sad. I'm going to be very careful with the kind of images I select. For one, in that case, or in that example I'm using, I would not use an image that does not depict the emotion. So the image must be of someone who is sick and is not feeling too well or is a little bit moody. Two, my audience. I need to pay attention to who my audience is. If my client is a Nigerian, for example, an African, or it's an African hospital that is asking me to do this, I would not use white pictures. That is because majority of my audience are black. So I will pick an image that supports their culture or supports what they do. So I will look for images that have black Americans or black people in them, such that it emphasizes and makes your audience relate with them. But if my audience is an American, a white American, I would simply use a white picture, a picture that has lots of white people in them. This is because I'm trying to embrace their culture or also relate with the audience, which is white, mostly or predominantly white people. You need to pay attention to this because I see lots of artworks, especially here in this part of the world, where their clients or dominant audience are typical down-to-earth Nigerians or down-to-earth Africans who haven't or don't even have an experience of a white person, and all they see on the posters is white people. First, it denotes or sends a signal or an emotion of, oh, that's not for me, I'm not up to their standard. No, you have to be careful with these things. So for that, again, you have to pick an image that best suits the culture, your audience, and the location of what you're doing. Keep that in mind whenever you're selecting images. It's very important. Also the environment, because if I'm taking, let's say I'm doing a project and I'm talking about agriculture, I wouldn't use an agricultural farm that is in the States. I would use an agricultural farm, that's here in Africa, because all the elements around are similar. We could relate with them. We know how our tractors look like. We know how some of our gardening tools look like. So when I see certain tools that don't really look like what we see every day, if I'm the audience, I kind of find it hard to relate with it or vibe off with that artwork or that communication, that visual communication. So this is important. You need to remember, consider your culture, the culture you're trying to represent, consider the audience you're trying to speak to, and craft your imagery or select your imagery based on those things. And lastly, please ensure that your images are of high definition. Avoid using low pixelated images. And when I mean low pixelated images, I mean images that are low in resolution. They make your work shabby, they make your work look poor, they make your work look cheap, like you didn't even spend time doing it. There are free resources out there that can help you. So go online, Google these things, and ensure that your images are of high resolution. And how you can do that is, once you've downloaded the image, check the size of the image. If the image size is quite small, there's a high possibility or probability that that image is of low resolution. And how you know is, when you put the image or import the image into your artwork, try stretching it out. If the image is still high value or still clear after being stretched out, then you can say that's a high resolution image. But if the image starts looking funny or shady or breaking after you've expanded it, then that's a low resolution image, and you need to avoid that at all costs. You want your work to look professional, you want your work to look simple, and you want your work to look enticing, attractive to your users. So do not forget these things I have mentioned about imagery. Again, I'm going to run it through. 1, remember that you're selecting the right image that speaks the right language or says what you want to say. 2, make sure that the image here in question is referencing the culture of your audience and is relatable to your audience, not just because you like it. 3, make sure that your image is in high definition at all times. You don't want your work looking shabby. You want your work looking good, exciting, and of high quality. Very important. You want people to perceive you with the understanding that you know what you're doing. Now we've come to the end of the course. Wow, I know that was quite a chunk to take in, but it was essential we did this so that we understand the fundamentals of design. Whether you're doing UI UX or publication design or advertorial or marketing style design, it doesn't matter. The thing is, all these fundamentals are applicable to all styles of design. It's important to know them, it's important to apply them at every stage of your work so that you end up bringing a good and cohesive work. One that is professional, one that is relatable, and one that actually passes the message. Remember what I said design was? Visual communication using elements such as this. If you end up not sending the right message across board, you haven't done anything. You've just created a beautiful artwork that is meaningless. You always want to create works that are meaningful, empathic, and can be relatable to your audience. Thank you for being part of my class, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.